Listen up, guys. On top of G Fuel becoming devil hunters via the new Chainsaw Man energy formula, they've also become rogue ninjas. There's a Akatsuki flavored energy formula that you can purchase using my affiliate link and discount code down in the pinned comment and the description box. This is not a sponsorship though. If you do purchase something, use my link and discount code, I do get a small kickback, and I am an avid user of G Fuel. I'll usually mix it in with non-stimulant pre-workout, since G Fuel does have just enough caffeine to get you going for a day, usually around 150 milligrams per serving. And these are two of the tastiest flavors that they've come out with, which is saying a lot because I love their Duke Nukem flavor that they had a few months back. However, you'll also be able to get some really cool anime themed merchandise, as well as energy tubs and different energy formulas of different anime to choose from. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, My Hero Academia, Mobile Suit Gundam, Attack on Titan, and so many other series are available on the website. And best of all, unlike a lot of other energy formulas and drinks that are out there, there is zero crash because there's zero sugar in this one. Two really huge selling points of why I personally support G Fuel. In typical anime fashion, I am going to need you guys to send me your energy by clicking the affiliate link in the description and in the pinned comment, so you can buy whatever anime themed product you want. It doesn't have to be Naruto, it can be whatever anime strikes your fancy. And when you do so, make sure to use my promo code KAGE to get yourself a discount. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a rather interesting scene from the last manga chapter, chapter 18 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, which the review is up on the channel, and I'll leave it linked in the description box for those guys who have not checked it out yet. But we had a moment where Sumire was shown watching the conversation with Kawaki and Amado with very close eyes, as Amado used his shutdown code on Kawaki, and Kawaki, upon waking up, found himself openly talking about the conditions under which he would agree to assist Amado in reviving his daughter, namely doing so after he killed the Shinju code and then he killed Boruto. Given the recent history of the Boruto franchise, I want to take a look at why Sumire's presence in that moment right there might have planted the seed for something different entirely to swerve us as an audience moving forward as the ultimate subversion of expectations. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explain video, where we're going to break down the potential ramifications of Sumire acting on Boruto's behalf and how this ultimately goes back to a couple of plot points from Boruto Part 1, particularly the potential of Sumire exposing herself as not being affected by omnipotence, Sumire turning on Kawaki in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. It aligns with the character arc and the themes of the current arc itself, specifically Ada and Kashin Koji's words about follow your heart, and the quote on one of the chapter covers, love looks not with the mind but with the eyes. Sumire's motivations are the biggest thing here. So her love for Boruto is a driving factor. Like, we all make the jokes, or at least I make the jokes of Boruto's got a harem, love triangle, Sumire's gaslighting, etc., etc. But Sumire, she has unambiguously shown strong feelings of love for Boruto, which have deepened over the course of the series in the manga. Her interactions with Sarada and 2 Blue Vortex, they emphasize her jealousy over Sarada's bond, suggesting unresolved emotions and possible guilt over not being able to protect him or be there for him when Kawaki killed him in Boruto Part 1 and attempted to kill him, and Sarada happened to be the one that was there who was able to save Boruto during that time. Both of them were kunoichi, but one kunoichi acted, the other one stood in the background. The quote on the chapter cover, that love looks not with the mind's eyes, it goes back to Midsummer Night's Dream, but it also suggests that Sumire's actions may have been driven by what it was that she's witnessed. While Ada was the one who was on that cover where the quote was shown, it should be worth noting that in that same chapter we had that blow up with Sumire and Sarada, and you had Ada saying follow your heart, and Sumire was shown afterwards. That's all intentional stuff. Seeing Kawaki embrace Ishiki's power and agree to help Amado revive Akibi is going to solidify him as a threat in her eyes. Her love for Boruto, it compels her to act emotionally, as we saw. Does she ever get emotional? And it takes the logic out of it, and it could potentially endanger her. You could argue there is some feeling of guilt and a need for redemption. Sumire's failure to protect Boruto earlier in the story, it could be something that weighs heavily on her, and she may see using the shutdown code as an opportunity to right any perceived wrongs that she has. While we as the audience know that that won't work, she does not know that the shutdown code requires Amado's voice only, so her attempt to use it would symbolize her willingness to sacrifice her safety for Boruto. And Kawaki's probably going to make her pay when she says, "Kawaki, quit babbling in your sleep," or whatever the shutdown code in and of itself is. The thematic reasoning for Follow Your Heart is another thing to look at. This theme, it directly challenges Sumire to act on her feelings rather than suppressing them. It challenges her to think with emotion and not necessarily with logic, the thing that she and Sarada clashed over. Sumire said, "Hey, we're better off letting Boruto do what he needs to do." Sarada said they need to act to protect. Both of them felt very guilty following that encounter. She has shown that she has doubts about Kawaki's morality when you read part 1 very closely, and his increasingly dangerous obsession with protecting Naruto, even if it means harming others, is something that she has clocked from Boruto Part 1. Hence the whole ... expression on her face every single time we see her, or seemingly so. Because that's obviously an exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying here. So, acting against Kawaki, it is her way of aligning her actions with her heart, and it's doing so despite the risk that it would give her. The other thing to take into account for why Sumire would act against Kawaki is that she has first-hand witnessing of Kawaki's actions. Sumire's first-hand witnessing of Kawaki's actions, in particular the conversation with Kawaki and Amado and that whole confrontation, it reveals two crucial pieces of information: Kawaki's willingness to gain unlimited power that Ishiki possesses, and even more power, and Kawaki's transactional mindset, which is he's agreeing to help Amado revive Akibi in exchange for power because he's a consequentialist. For Sumire, this would cement her in a position where she sees Kawaki as a danger to Boruto, and she would realize that his power would be beyond anyone else's control. Her courage and loyalty to Boruto will be put on display at this point. Sumire has demonstrated bravery to varying degrees before in the manga, such as when she tried to manipulate Amado by pretending to be on his side when she was secretly watching him to warn Shikamaru about what it was he was up to. This shows her capacity for a calculated risk-taking when protecting those that she cares about. Her actions may be seen less about defeating Kawaki and more about buying time for Boruto or to warn others of Kawaki's growing threat. However, she acts to be a shield for Boruto, whether physically or through some other method, is going to be very important. And that leads us to the narrative payoff in of itself. It's a test of Sumire's character when you really sit down and you think about it. Her decision to oppose Kawaki is a test of her growth. It forces her to confront the tension between her logical, restrained, reserved nature and the emotional turmoil that is caused by her love for Boruto. The act of trying to stop Kawaki, even if it's futile, it cements her as someone willing to risk everything for what she believes is right. And that ties into the arc's themes itself. Follow Your Heart highlights Sumire's actions, how they're guided by her feelings for Boruto, even though the logic dictates that Kawaki is far more powerful and dangerous. This reflects the arc's exploration of whether individuals should prioritize emotion or reason in high-stakes situations. The quote, "Love looks not with the mind but with the eyes," it emphasizes emotional clarity that Sumire has gained from witnessing Kawaki's transformation and her realization of Boruto's increasing vulnerability. Any attempt to protect Boruto despite the odds showcases her love in action. Granted, because this is a battle shonen, ideally you would like to see her mix it up, but at the same time we have to be realistic and kind of look at it from the perspective of she hasn't really been considered and presented as a combatant in the manga variation of the story. She's been more of a support character. She's been more playing the background, being some of the brains to Sarada whenever Sarada's emotions get a little too high up. She's being positioned very close to Amado. So those plot points are all things that are completely intersecting. At some point, those things need to come home, and her always being there whenever Amado is making these changes to Kawaki, even going as far back as when he was gaslighting Kawaki to try to get him to retake the Karma Seal, Sumire was there the entire time. So you have to think at the bare minimum that all these threads are going to come together following the funneling method, where things that seem unrelated eventually end up being tied together in a bow at the very end of the story itself. It would also advance any potential Boruto and Sumire relationship, which, gotta throw a disclaimer in there, because anytime you do that, people say, oh my god, you're shipping such and such and such and such. The shipping videos are merely taking a neutral stance. As far as I'm concerned, Boruto could end up with Namida, and I'd be okay with it as long as narratively it told a good story and it had a payoff. I don't care who ends up with who. While Boruto and Sumire do not currently share a deep emotional bond in the manga, not that you could compare to, say, Boruto and Sarada in some people's opinion, her actions could plant seeds for future development. Boruto witnessing Sumire's willingness to risk herself for him could deepen his appreciation for her, very similar to how Naruto saw Hinata get stabbed up by pain, and then Naruto got in the Genjutsu Lake and said, Hinata makes my PP go boing boing. Any potential downside that we would have here in terms of regressing of Sumire's character does need to get brought up, just to be fair. So it could be an over-reliance on her character having love for Boruto. If Sumire's actions are entirely dedicated and dictated by her feelings of Boruto, it risks reducing her character to a one-dimensional love interest type character, and this would undermine her intelligence, her independence, and her potential to be a complex character outside of romantic feelings. You also risk not really improving and just ignoring any other potential motivations Sumire might have. Granted, manga Sumire is different than anime Sumire, but it is worth saying her character has shown a strong sense of duty and loyalty to Konoha. Overemphasizing her love for Boruto could overshadow these traits, making her seem driven solely by romantic emotions rather than a broader moral compass. It's very important that you strike a balance here from a narrative perspective to avoid any type of regressions. Sumire's actions should be framed not solely as an act of love, but as a blend of her affection for Boruto and her moral objection to Kawaki's path. Her attempt to use the shutdown code could symbolize her dedication to protecting others, particularly Boruto, while also showing her internal struggle to reconcile logic with emotion. This would make her decision both narratively compelling and a true test of growth for a character as well. And I think taking this approach offers the opportunity to take a character like Sumire, who started out only in the anime, got put into the manga, and while she's done some stuff, there is room for improvement with the character. This could flesh her out in a way to where she ends up becoming one of the better written characters in the entirety of the Boruto manga itself. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and checking out more videos from Naruto Explained by clicking here on the left or clicking here on the right for this video from my Anime Explained channel, where I talk about non-Naruto content in the form of reviews, video essays, explained videos, and so much more.